Hi there, and welcome back to another payday routine video. Today, I'm going to be walking you through how I am budgeting my paycheck. I'm going to be sharing with you the deductions as well as the bills I have to pay, where every dollar is going, and how much I have left over to put towards my debt. If you are also trying to figure out your personal finances in real time, I want you to know that you're not alone and I am right there with you. Currently, I am rebuilding my finances from the ground up, trying to figure out how to budget and properly track my expenses. I am also learning the sacrifices and trade-offs I have to make, and I am also just trying to reach financial freedom one paycheck at a time. If you enjoy videos about budgeting, transparency, and intentional spending, as well as lifestyle videos, then please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so hopefully this video can reach more people and we can continue growing together on this journey of reaching financial freedom. By the way, if you are new here, my name is Sydney and I'm 28 years old. I work a full-time 9-to-5 job as a people operations generalist for a tech company, and I live in rural Montana with my fiance and my dog. So for this pay period, I was paid from July 16th to July 31st, and I am paid semi-monthly, so I'm paid on the 15th of every month as well as the last day of every month. For my gross pay this pay period, it was $2,710.67. Now my net pay or my take-home pay was $2,045.35. Now, going into my taxes that were withheld, my federal income tax that was taken out was $234.18. Medicare taxes taken out was $38.47. Social Security tax was $164.50. And then for Montana state tax withholdings, that was $110. Moving on to medical deductions. For my medical insurance, they took out $29.50. For dental insurance, they took out $2. And for my vision insurance, they took out $1. I don't pay into long-term disability or life insurance. For my HSA, they took out $25 because that is what I elected to contribute, and my company matches that $25 up to $600 annually. For my retirement account, my company has a 401k match up to 4%. So I elected to contribute that full 4%. And so $108.33 went into my Roth 401k, which my company also matched. Now, moving on to the budgeting, I work off of a zero-based budget. And I know someone commented and wanted me to share exactly like how I work through setting up my budget and working off of a zero-based budget each pay period. And I was going to do that, but for the sake of time, I think I'm going to make that a separate video. So if you are interested in me breaking that down like in real time and showing you how I am just looking at my income and all of my expenses and breaking down the numbers when I'm looking at my zero-based budget spreadsheet, be sure to comment down below and I will go ahead and make like a separate video on that tutorial if you would like. For this paycheck, I had to pay rent. My rent is $725 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in rural Montana, and that includes my $50 pet fee. The rent is what I split with my fiance as well as the utilities. We typically split all like household expenses when it comes to rent, utilities, and food. Other than that, we keep our finances mostly separate at this time. That's just personally what works for us. My rent that was taken out from my portion was $362.50. And then our utility bill was, my portion that I paid was $32.70. And then I also had to make my car note or car payment this pay period, which was $330. I already went grocery shopping on Friday because I ended up having the day off actually. So I went to Costco that day and I spent 212. Okay, actually, when I went to Costco, my total Costco bill was $261.50. Now, the budget I had set for myself was $250. So I was over by like $11.50. And that is because one of the items I got is going towards my fiance's birthday gift, and his birthday is mid-August. So I was already budgeting in this paycheck to put expenses towards the birthday cake that I'm making him, as well as his birthday gift. And so that is why I kind of went over. And also, when it comes to budgeting for groceries, I was thinking about it and kind of wanting to know maybe like what your thoughts are, if you wouldn't mind sharing down in the comments. For your family, or if you share expenses with your partner and you guys split groceries, is your total grocery budget like, what is your total grocery budget? And I guess, how do you guys go about deciding what your budget is? So in my mind, that is something I'm kind of figuring out. Is essentially every time I go to Costco, I spend roughly between $200 to $300. Now, this time I set a budget of $250, but because I take into consideration the fact that my fiance and I split the bill, I'm a little bit more lenient in going over the 250, because then it only comes out to like us splitting it and then paying maybe like, this time around, um when we had split it, we were each only paying $142 roughly for the groceries. So given that, that's where I'm kind of like, sometimes I have a little bit more leniency when I'm grocery shopping, just because the fact that we split groceries. Or yeah, I feel like, because also I try to take into consideration the different foods we like to eat. Plus, he travels for work and he is gone all day when he does go to work. He has to pack a full lunch. And so that means um, that we just kind of eat different things, and we have different items on our grocery list that I take into consideration, or we take into consideration when we are grocery shopping. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but that being said, I'm still just figuring out what is my ideal grocery budget. But I think 250 is a good grocery budget goal, because I think that groceries, ideally, most families and even couples, when I've watched other people, are spending like roughly $500, more or less, give or take, depending on everyone's preferences, the brands and different types of groceries we like to buy, right? Because we all shop for different things and we have different dietary needs. But overall, I just know that like groceries have seriously gone up so much. And when I am doing my calculations as I'm shopping in Costco, I'll just have a few items in the cart and I'm already close to $100. Now, I shop at Costco also, I want to say, because I live far from the city. It's an hour and 15-minute drive for me to go to the city, and that is where my Walmart, Target, Costco, and any large grocery store is. So to me, it makes more sense to stock up in bulk at Costco, even though it's just me and my fiance, especially because we know what we like to eat and we don't necessarily find the things that we want at other grocery stores like Walmart. However, this time I did shop at Walmart because I had to pick up a few items that couldn't be found at Costco. With that being said, my total grocery expenses for this paycheck was $212.59. I don't want to confuse you, because after splitting the Costco bill with my fiance, I also paid for a $50 beef box from our local rancher. So that is also where the additional $50 is going, on top of our Costco bill that we split. If anything's confusing, I'm going to just put it on the screen for clarity. Now, like I've mentioned before, I always fill up on gas when I go into the city, and I try to fill up just one time per pay period, and I ended up paying $38.45 for gas. Now, this time in my budgeting, I had to take into consideration gifts because, like I said, it's going to be my fiance's birthday and I wanted to get him something. So for the gift items that I got, it was $53.97, and I actually ordered those items on Amazon. And then I will also be having to pay for my Mandarin tutoring. I take Mandarin classes online with a tutor, and I do that once a week, and that comes out to $50.40. Then I have to pay for my Spotify subscription, which is $5.99. I will also be paying for Apple storage, which is $2.99. And I still have to look into getting a storage, what do they call it? An external hard drive. I don't know why I've just been indecisive about like picking an external hard drive. So I have to do more research on that because I do think it would save me money in the long term instead of spending $2.99 every month on storage. Oh, I want to quickly go back to my car. So I pay $330 per month for my car loan. Now, I've had suggestions in the comments to just get rid of my car, sell it, and buy a used car. Some things, so I have taken that into consideration. I want you to know I've thought about that. And the thing with that is that, so first of all, I did get my car used. I drive a 2017 Subaru Outback, and currently it has about 92,000 miles on it. I got it in 2022, and it had roughly 60,000, maybe a little under 60,000 miles. Because I live in Montana, and if you've ever been here, everything is really spread out. Like everything's really far, and because I live an hour and 20 minutes from the city, I need a really reliable car to commute to the city, which I do quite often because I go there for all of our shopping. I go there for all of my dentist, doctor's appointments, and really anything that I need. So in Montana, it's just super important to have a reliable car, especially in the winter because it snows probably about 5 to 6 months out of the year. It'll start snowing from like as early as possibly the end of October to May. And that just is something where I feel like I need to have a reliable car, and my car is in good condition. Every time I take it into the shop, which I am, I always make sure to keep up to date on any like car maintenance I have to do, like changing my oil, making sure I'm switching out my seasonal tires for winter tires, and just keeping up on car maintenance because I do want this car to last for a really long time. And given that it's a really reliable car like a Subaru Outback, honestly, this car could last over 300,000 miles and still be in great condition as long as I'm keeping up on the car maintenance and taking care of my car. So I feel like in the long run, I have about 4 years, a little over 4 years to continue paying on my car. And I know $330 is a lot, but when I was looking on Facebook Marketplace, I was seeing cars like SUVs that had about 150,000 miles selling for between $7,000 to $10,000. I don't know. To me, it just makes sense to keep my car because it's in such great condition. The miles, even though it's like 92,000 miles, given that it's a Subaru Outback, it's still such a great car and in great condition. So I'm just going to keep this car for as long as possible and continue to pay on it because to me, it just makes the most sense given where I live and that I'm far from the city and I need a reliable and dependable car. All right, moving on from that, my medical and health expenses for this pay period are $295. I'm really happy that it's way less than it has been recently, and this is all for physical therapy. So I've been going to physical therapy to work on my TMD, which is why do I forget every time? It has to do with the jaw. Temporal mandibular joint dysfunction is what I'm experiencing because apparently I hold a lot of stress and anxiety in my jaw. So I've had to go to physical therapy for that because I am experiencing locked jaw and just difficulty eating and talking without my jaw getting tired. But honestly, PT is paying off. I think I've seen a major improvement. So anyways, that is what I budgeted for my medical expenses. And I also had $20 in this pay period go into my Roth IRA. I also realized I haven't really shared what I actually have in my retirement accounts. So if you are interested in me sharing like my net worth currently, even though I have debt, and what is in my retirement accounts, feel free to comment down below. So I know that like maybe you're interested in that and I can go ahead and share that. But with that, oh, last thing. Okay. So before we get to the debt, I also, because it was my fiance's birthday, I ended up going to the Dollar Tree store. It's a great place to go for any type of birthday decor. And I had to get some gardening items. So I got some gardening pots as well as birthday candles and like a birthday card. And I went to the Dollar Tree store. Great place for those types of items because everything was like $1.25. And so I spent $16.02 at the Dollar Tree. No. Actually, I spent like $7 at the Dollar Tree store, but I factored in into my miscellaneous items some other items I got from Walmart that I just felt like fell under miscellaneous because it wasn't groceries. So miscellaneous items that I ended up shopping for at Walmart and Dollar Tree store was $16.02 that were unrelated to any grocery items or gift items. Well, I guess the card was a gift. Anyways, sorry if this is getting confusing. I apologize. Lastly, let's get to my credit card. All right, so for this credit card, I am not putting as high of a payment as I would like. I typically like to budget for an $800 to $1,000 credit card payment, but unfortunately, given some expenses that I had, considering my fiance's birthday, I did not have the room in my budget to make that high of a payment. So I have left over $624.74 to go towards my credit card. With that being said, my previous credit card balance was $4,253.48. Now, having made a payment of $624.74, I now have a current balance on my credit card of $3,628.74. I am so excited and so happy to finally see it in the 3,000 range, but I'm honestly even more excited to be able to see it in the $2,000 and $1,000 range because that means we are just getting closer and closer to paying off this credit card. Like I said, I think I should be able to pay this off by the end of September. That would be the ideal goal. So, with all of the deductions and expenses and bills I had to pay, that leaves me with exactly $0 left over. Now, I want to share that I mostly pay like my rent, my car bill, as well as utilities, groceries, and gas like upfront when I get my paycheck. And I just have those like expenses pretty much immediately taken out. And because I usually have to go to the grocery store right away when I get paid. So then all of the other bills and expenses slowly trickle out. But I know that ultimately I'm going to be left over with $0. And that's just kind of how my budgeting and expense tracking is working right now. As you probably noticed, there was nothing left over for savings. And unfortunately, I know it's not great. My next priority, once this credit card is paid off, is to truly build up an emergency savings. But right now, the priority is paying off my debt. I hope you found this payday routine helpful. I hope it brought you some clarity and transparency around a real paycheck with real numbers and just showing what it's really like right now when you have to make sacrifices and cut out things such as discretionary spending that could possibly go towards doing fun things. My life is honestly not super exciting right now. I don't have a ton of plans on the weekends. I'm not going out to restaurants. I'm not going on vacations or trips. Everything is so intentional right now when it comes to my budgeting and my spending because I really have just wanted to get out of debt and reach financial freedom. As I've gotten older, I just realized how important it is to me that I can retire comfortably in life and that I'm not going to be working into my 60s and 70s like a lot of people are experiencing now. And I just know that ultimately I can't rely on Social Security to be there for me. And I really have to take control of my personal finances and set myself up for financial success because I have dreams and goals of, being able to retire hopefully in my late 40s and live a lifestyle that is comfortable and that is supported by making hard financial decisions now and sacrifices now so that I can experience prosperity and long term wealth in the long run. So, before I ramble on any further, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Please comment down below and share with me what it is that you're maybe struggling with when it comes to budgeting and expenses, or maybe what you've learned as you've started tracking your budget and tracking your expenses. I would love to know in the comments. I truly love reading all of your comments. And like I always say, I think that we can just learn from each other. And I will see you in the next video.